Hey traders, Michael or 𝐿𝐼𝐴 here. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Today is Turnaround Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. You're looking at a daily chart of the SPY or spiders, which is the proxy for the S&P 500. What do we have on the docket today? Well, we had another green day pretty much all across the board. Today in the spiders, we're up 0.94%, and we're in a very critical spot right now. In yesterday's video, we were talking about this big time breakdown candle. That number came in at 675.56. And we said that this area near the vicinity of this high is a very important area for the market for multiple reasons. Number one is the breakdown candle itself. The high of it is going to be overhead resistance. Number two, you got home base near the vicinity. Markets don't like to be too extended from home base. Number three, we're right at a 618 retrace. And then number four, we're right at a big fat round number. What was today's close? The close is exactly 675.02. That was the big fat round number. And then as a little extra bonus, if we go to some other time frames, we can see that we're starting to converge multiple moving averages on multiple different time frames. So it was just a little added bonus to the full stack that we were forming. But the key takeaway from today's activity, and this is pretty much the key takeaway for every single day, is the close. Where are we closing the day? And in relation to this big time breakdown candle, we closed below the high. And we said last night, when we start to close candles above that number, then she's in a stronger position than what we expected it to be. She would be able to go ahead and climb this breakdown candle and possibly even getting to some unfinished business up above. That's this gap right here at 683.38. But take note that today we did close candles below. Tomorrow we can spike the high again, maybe a little spike the high and rip it right back down in the other direction. But as long as we're closing candles below 675.56, then the pattern is still being respected. And what this pattern is an inside bar pattern formation. And we utilize those each and every single day, all taught in the MSF Masterclass. Speaking of the MSF Masterclass, that just reminded me that we're coming out with a little Black Friday special. A little late to the party, but better late than never, I suppose. This is something that I've been working on for quite some time. Did a little bit of updating with the website. All the links will be provided in the description below. But here's what we got. We got a huge Black Friday savings deal. We got a discount on Inside the Numbers, and then also a discount on the MSF Masterclass. This is the first ever discount that we're doing on these products, and there is limited spots available, and this is only going on for a limited time. And as I always say, you better get on your horses. Link will be in the description below. So going back over to the spiders, just going to wrap this up real quick. Earlier today, I did have a longtime MSF follower send me an email, and he did bring up a pretty good point. If you guys have been with us for a long time, you have always heard my dad say that they tend to float them up into a holiday weekend, which is pretty much what we're seeing right now. Yesterday we were up 1.47%, today we're up almost 1%, and really she's just floating them up. But where is she floating them up to? A very key spot within the market. Where we're at right now is pretty much a full stack area. Just looking at it in a technical analysis perspective, this area that we're in right now should be some overhead resistance. It shouldn't be a place where the market should just waltz right through. But with that said, we do have to keep in mind that the markets do like to float them up into a holiday weekend. We've seen it time and time again. But depending on how we close candles above or below that 675.56 is going to be a very, very big tell. This is pretty much a make it or break it spot for the market. So let's take a little detour and take a look at Inside the Numbers, starting with the 0 dark 30 notes. Did we have any trades within Inside the Numbers or the live room today? And the short answer is yeah, we did. Right now we're taking a look at the 0 dark 30 notes. This is the morning game plan that's laid out to members well before the opening bell. And here was the first trade of the day. And it was a pivot trade. It pays to know your pivots. We got the pivot at 668.80. If we scroll up a bit at 9:15, what's the scoop? 668.80, which is the morning pivot, and yesterday's gap can be some initial overhead resistance. And then again, right here, 2 minutes before the opening bell. The first area of business is the pivot. Right at the vertical line is today's activity. I'm on a 1 minute time frame because this move happened really fast. We got the pivot in green, and as you can see, we opened, we ran them right up to the pivot, a little spike, nothing too crazy, and then came right back down. Made a low of 668.17, and that does indeed qualify as the bare minimum base hit. A base hit is anywhere between 50 and 70 SPY cents, or 5 to 7 ES points. And then after we book a base hit, we don't let the remaining portion go bad on us. And this is a perfect example. Got the base hit, went right back up to the pivot, and then started to climb up higher. That's why we don't let the remaining portion go bad on us. at 9:30, and there's your base hit, literally within the first 30 seconds of market open. How you doing? So scrolling up, we can see at 9:49, we started to get some heavy selling. This thing dropped like $6 within 10 minutes, so it did blow by some of our other support numbers that we had down below, such as 66745, 66565, but then we did manage to make it back up towards the pivot, and there could have been another trade near that area. At 9:56, back up towards the pivot, 66880 could be some more overhead resistance. It coincides with the high of a big time breakdown candle that was just created. So let's go take a look and get a better visual perspective. So as you can see, this was the breakdown candle that was newly created. And as we know, the high of that breakdown candle is overhead resistance. And on the 10-minute chart, it's bigger than all the other ones that we see on the screen. And then as you can see, we still have that 66880 number, that pivot. And if we go to a 5-minute time frame just to break this down a little bit, we can see we ran right back up to the pivot and then came right back down and gave you a nice chunk of points. That pivot number was pretty dang important, multiple times. But here's the thing with these inside bar pattern formations. We know we're wrong in the trade is when we start to close candles above the high of the breakdown candle. And take a look at what happened. We finally started to get above the pivot and even closing candles above the pivot. So that's number one of the bull case scenario. And then also we even started to close candles above this breakdown candle high right here. And then when we started to break above, you can see we even ran back for a retest of that pivot number and pretty much nailed it right on the dot and still closed candles above. And then pretty much ever since that moment, it was a straight shot towards the upside. That's why I love using the inside bar patterns as potential trade setups, because number one, it's a very easy pattern to use. They work a large majority of the time. As traders, we know that we're not going to be right every single trade. It's impossible. But these inside bar pattern formations, when we tag it along with other stuff that we could build out the full stack with, it puts the odds more in our favor. So it definitely could have been another trade opportunity. I love trading those inside bar patterns. And going back to the daily chart, what we were talking about earlier is if we still continue to close candles below this high, then the inside bar pattern is still in play. We're in a very crucial spot in the market right now. At 10:01, if you took that pivot trade back up towards the upside, she's already providing you the base hit, plus some extra juice. As always, you can pause the video, read the notes, and go back to the chart to double check the work. Everything's in here for you. The morning game plan, the intraday updates, we got the afternoon write-up so you know exactly what to expect later on in the day. We have everything that you need to become a successful and profitable trader. And as always, we can't forget about stocks on the move. Today we had 4, only one of them did hit their entry target. That was AMD. So let's go put some of these numbers up on the board and see how it played out. So we got all the numbers up on the board, entry number 1, 2, and the stop loss. Yes, we always do provide you the stop loss. As you can see, we blew by entry number 1, made it to entry number 2, did find a pretty decent bounce off of that number, made a high of almost 200. Again, those big fat round numbers are important. And also that could be a little lesson to fade those big fat round numbers, because the market certainly knows about those numbers, and sometimes, not every time, but they do like to screw two factions of traders, coming up short of the number. So we did get a nice base hit from entry number 2, went back down to the stop loss, and remember, we operate on an hourly close basis for the stop loss. And as you can see, we never closed candles hourly below the stop. This pretty much acts as an entry number 3, so the stop is indeed an important number, and if you played it by the book, you followed the game plan, and you followed the numbers, then AMD provided you a pretty nice trade. And we did have some live room and inside the numbers take this trade. If you did and booked some profit in your pocket, leave a comment down below. Let others know how well the numbers work. Not to mention, we have a list of 13 different markets with support and resistance numbers. We don't only trade the spiders. We got the Qs, IWM, SMH, Tesla, gold, crude, Bitcoin, oil. We got something for everybody. And by the way, I need your help. Leave a comment down below if you want me to add another market to this list. Whether it's Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, whatever it is, I don't care. All charts act and react the same way. I'd love to know what you guys want to see and how we can continuously improve this list and inside the numbers. Whether we add it to this list or replace it with something. For example, I'm not sure how many people trade or even look at natural gas. so maybe that could be replaced with something, but I'll let you guys be the judge. So leave a comment down below of a market that you would like to see added to this list. And by the way, stay tuned because I do have a pretty cool new feature for Inside the Numbers that should be good to go by tomorrow. So it's definitely a great time to get in on this Black Friday special. Let's go take a quick trip around the world and take a look at some of the other markets, starting with Camp IWM. We had a pretty decent green day today. We're up 2.18% today. And what catches my eye is that we did complete all the unfinished business towards the upside. The unfinished business that I'm talking about is this number right here at 243.64. That pretty much completes all the gaps towards the upside, the last unfinished business that needed to be completed. And we did talk about this the other day, but we do have an early indication of the convergence between two moving averages, the 20 and the 50 on the daily time frame. This can help determine the strength of this downtrend because short term, we are in a downtrend right now. The trend has shifted, but over the last 3 days, we have been rallying back, taking care of some key numbers towards the upside, aka the unfinished business at this number. And we can't forget that the market tends to float them up into a holiday weekend. Next week can be completely different, and we can head right back down and continue the downtrend and some more downside potential. This is pretty normal garden variety stuff as we're now finding support at home base, the 20 period moving average, as we've been extended for quite some time. But looking at it in a technical analysis perspective, we are in a very critical spot all across the board. I do have a pretty important number that you should definitely write down on a sticky note, but the number comes in right at this breakdown candle high, which happens to be 246.38. That is a very crucial number for Camp IWM. And if we close candles above it, then we were wrong and we could go back up towards the most recent all-time high. But if we continue to close candles below, then the downtrend can continue. And these moving averages can extend out a bit and we can see the distance between the two and determine the true strength of the downtrend. That's what we got for Camp IWM. What about the folks in the transportation department? Well, we did blow by these two overhead resistance numbers. Just going to a smaller time frame, taking a look at what happened. We did find overhead resistance at the first number after a little spike through, played some ping pong back and forth, came back down, and then we started to get above that number, came up a little bit short of that back end number, got above it, started to use it as support on the way back down, and then here we are right at 16,400. So we could get rid of these two lines. Also, we don't really need this trend line anymore. And as we could see, we're right in the vicinity of testing this recent pivot high. If we do start to close candles above this pivot high, again, closing candles above, then we can expect another leg higher. But if we do find resistance near this area and still continue to close candles below it, then we have this gap right here that needs to be filled. That's right at a big fat round number at 16,000. And then we could start to climb this breakup candle, head back towards the pivot. Also, by the way, look at where we closed today at. Here's this recent breakdown candle high. We closed below it, and we did that for a reason because we know that these areas within the market are important. So we'll have to see tomorrow and towards the end of the week how we treat that area. This number, and then this most recent pivot high. So the question is, will we continue to float them up higher coming up towards the end of the holiday weekend? And all this really is a huge big fake out move, issuing some pies in the face, or maybe this is the true nature of the market and we could just continue to go up higher. And all this was a little pullback in a longer term uptrend. Pretty much just going back to retest home base all across the board. I'm talking about the Qs, the spiders, IWM, SMH. Speaking of the Qs, we're up 0.75% today. Again, still closing below this big time breakdown candle. Very critical spot within the market right now. We have to see how we treat that number tomorrow and coming into the weekly close, because if we close candles above, then we were pretty much wrong and the next destination becomes this gap up above. But we are in a full stack situation area right now. What was the high today? The high was 610.26. Right at that big fat round number we were talking about yesterday. XLF seems to be doing pretty well. We're up 1.25%. We did find support at the last line of defense, the 200 period moving average, and we are coming back up towards a key area. We got this gap right here at 52.98. We can call it 53, a nice even round number. That also happens to coincide right with a possible convergence between the 50 and the 100 period moving average. So that definitely is going to be a key spot for XLF. Another number you could write down is at 53.22, a little spike of that first initial number. Going over to a weekly time frame, those two numbers happen to coincide right with home base, the 20-period moving average. So it'll be interesting to see if we continue to use home base as overhead resistance and still continue to close candles below, then we could come right back down to the 50-period moving average and basically retest the last line of defense, the 200-period moving average. Last but not least, we got SMH shaking my head, the semiconductors. Smash mouth. We're up 0.26%. And here's something that I noticed between SMH, the Qs, the spiders, is that SMH and the Qs are a little bit farther away from this big time breakdown candle. We're about $10 away from the high of the candle. In the Qs, we're not too far away from it. We'll say in the vicinity of the breakdown candle high. And then in the spiders, we're pretty much right at it. But again, the common theme throughout all of these is that we're still continuing to close candles below. Until that changes, we're still respecting the inside bar pattern formation. So obviously with SMH, you got a big fat round number at around 350, coinciding with the big breakdown candle and the 20-period moving average. If we do happen to close candles above, we have this gap up above in the vicinity of another big fat round number at 355, give or take. But if we do continue to respect the pattern and close below this number, then we could take care of some business down below. There's an unfilled gap right here at 326.13. That is going to be a very key important number. And then you got some other stuff down below, but we don't need to worry about that just yet. We're at a make it or break it spot all across the board. Have I told you guys how much I appreciate each and every single one of you? Without you guys, these videos or MSF would not be possible. That is true and accurate information. Put it on a sticky note. We're pulling the ripcord for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. I'm 𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐿. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the video as it helps me and the channel out a lot. And a friendly reminder that we do have that Black Friday special now. The link will be in the description below. So with that said, we'll be back ready to go in uniform for tomorrow's morning session, and of course the video later that night. I hope each and every single one of you has a great rest of your day. Stay safe and take care now, folks.